Hello, everyone, and Merry Medical Christmas. That's what I'm calling it, and I'll tell you why. We have some fun tonight, so we're gonna we're going to get started in a little bit here. We've got Lucy in the chat. Thanks for being here tonight, Lucy. And as I said, this is Merry Medical Christmas, and you might be thinking, but why? Christmas is over. We've celebrated the holidays. We've begun the new year, right? But I like to take this time to reflect back a little bit on some of those outrageous and ridiculous holiday cards and letters we all receive. And I receive a lot. I have a whole basket here, but it's not necessarily my generation that sends the most outrageous. As a matter of fact, it's usually the baby boomer generation, which is why I always enjoy going over to my parents' house and checking out the letters that they've received, because there's been some pretty amazingly ridiculous overshares over the years, and those are always the most fun. Now, these ones have been sort of cultivated over the years, curated, you might say. Welcome in, everyone. I was just explaining what we're doing here tonight. It's the Merry Medical Christmas, which is a look back at all of the outrageous and ridiculous holiday letters that we've received over the years. So I've sort of curated these, and some of them, two of them, I'm going to be sharing 5 in total. And 2 of them have been from this year, and the rest I've sort of saved over the years to revisit at a later time. Not totally sure what I would do with them at the time, but when you have a YouTube channel, it makes for some interesting content, or at least funny. And this is all letters that have a medical undertone to them, and they all have a major overshare as well. Hey, Chumba, how are you? Lucy's here. Sherry, hello. Thank you for coming in and joining me tonight. We won't be live for very long. This is just sort of a fun thing. And I should preface this by saying, none of these people I actually know. These are friends of my parents who love to overshare. They come from that generation that loves to update at the holidays with all of their personal information. And these particular ones have a medical twist. So I actually have 5 letters, and I just want to make sure you all can hear me. The audio is okay. So I've listed them off here, and we're going to go through them one by one. But here we have a little cheat sheet, if you will. We have the chronic updater, the diagnosis dump, the vague but scary one, the medical humble brag, and the everything hurts letter. Yeah, people still do those letters, Jumpa Queen, and they're going to be really fun to look back at. So, as I said, I don't know these people personally, and they don't know, well, they might know of me, but they don't know that I have a YouTube channel. So let's just get into it, shall we? So, the chronic updater, and it starts like this. Dear friends and family, Merry Christmas. This year brought a lot of change, most of it unexpected. What started as routine blood work turned into a few specialists' visits, and now I officially have a team, which wasn't exactly what I had in mind for 2025. Starts out pretty mild. I'm doing okay overall, just pacing myself more than I used to. Work has been understanding, thankfully, and I've switched to part-time for now, which has helped more than I realized it would. Some days are better than others, and I'm learning to listen to my body whether I want to or not. As many of you know, Dave and I decided to finally treat ourselves this year and bought what we thought would be our dream motorhome coach. We downsized to a 1-bedroom place to afford it, figuring we'd be on the road more anyways. Unfortunately, the camper has been nothing but problems from the start. We never even made it to the Grand Canyon. It broke down near Toledo, Ohio, and we were stranded longer than planned. Shortly after that, the toilet began acting up. I'll spare you the details. And it honestly has been chaos ever since. We've replaced 4 flat tires, and the suspension has never felt quite right. During one especially bumpy stretch, I fell inside the RV and hurt my neck. What we thought was just soreness turned into something more serious, and I've been in a neck brace since August. Between appointments, imaging, physical therapy, and trying to get comfortable sleeping, it's been a long road. Imagine writing this in a letter, right? Adding to the adventure, our daughter Emily came to visit this fall with her new boyfriend Ryan, which was their first visit since we downsized. Since we only have 1 bedroom now, they slept on the new pull-out couch we had just purchased. Unfortunately, sometime during the night, the sofa bed collapsed. We're not entirely sure how it happened, but it did seem to occur after everyone had settled in for a while. Ryan ended up with bruised elbows and a sore wrist. Nothing serious, but definitely made for awkward morning conversation. Everyone was startled. No one was seriously hurt, but it wasn't exactly the impression we had hoped to make. For what it's worth, we would strongly urge people not to shop at Slumberland Sofa Beds Unlimited. On the bright side, we replaced the busted sofa bed with one of those couches in a box that we ordered off of Amazon. It was a more budget-friendly choice, especially since the warranty on the original sofa bed had turned out to be completely useless. Again, we would strongly advise avoiding Slumberland Sofa Beds Unlimited at all costs. Buddy, our dog, absolutely refuses to stay off the new couch despite our best efforts. I can tell you from personal experience that the boneless, all foam couches are extremely absorbent and seem to wick moisture straight into the core of the foam, making it nearly impossible to get smells out when Buddy has one of his little accidents. Despite this, Buddy has been a great comfort through everything and remains completely unfazed by neck braces, repair calls, and overnight guests. Although now that I think about it, the incontinence has been an issue. Here's hoping next year is a little quieter, a little smoother, and involves fewer mechanics, medical offices, and furniture warnings, I guess. Love, Patricia, Dave, and Buddy. So, imagine putting this in a Christmas letter that you've downsized to buy your dream motorhome coach. It turns out to be a complete, absolute pile of crap. The toilet backs up. You've gotten 4 flat tires. You broke your neck or something like that while riding because the suspension is screwed up. I don't know. I guess this is a new motorhome, although it could be used. It sounds horrible. And then they have their lovely daughter, Emily, and Ryan come visit while Ryan slays Emily in the living room and collapses the sofa bed. So that's their Christmas letter. Imagine being Emily and Ryan. I wonder if they were sent a copy of this letter because that would be a shock. Imagine. So yeah, that's the types of letters that, as a child of a baby boomer, we hope it's never written about us, right? So that was the chronic updater. So we've definitely learned more than we ever wanted to know about Patricia, Dave, and Buddy. And Buddy, pees on the boneless couch. Have you ever seen those couches on TikTok and Amazon, and everyone raves about them? They're like, it comes in a box that's only 3 feet by 3 feet. And, they open it up and it looks like it's the world's smallest couch. And then over the course of several days, it just fills out and, inflates to the full size. But For how long, really? That's the question. So the next letter we have tonight I've called it the diagnosis dump. And remember, all of these letters have a medical undertone to them. And I want to say hello to everybody in the chat if I missed you while I was reading. So thank you all for showing up. And thank you, Gemini, for redirecting to my chat tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to get to know everyone here in the chat if I haven't met you already. So welcome to everyone. But let's talk about the diagnosis dump now. This letter starts like this. Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas. This year was a lot. In March, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and something my doctor called metabolic syndrome, which honestly sounds worse than it feels. I've had to completely rethink meals, snacks, and even my coffee order. Who knew a little creamer could be so controversial? Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. I've learned how to count carbs, inject insulin, and politely decline desserts at family gatherings most of the time. On the bright side, I've lost 15 pounds, and Mark finally quit smoking, which we both are really proud of. He's been experimenting with vaping devices and sugar-free gum, an expensive habit that has caused several dental visits for fallen out fillings. And I'm assuming that's from the gum, not the vaping, although I suppose either might be possible. I've been trying to keep track of his new routine so I don't accidentally give him anything that will spike his blood pressure. I didn't travel this year. Too many appointments, lab visits, and one particularly exhausting week where both of us were sick at the same time. But we did get a new air fryer, which has basically become my personality. I can now make fries, chicken wings, and roasted vegetables with minimal effort and maximum Instagram documentation. In other news, we managed to repaint the living room, though I mostly supervised. It was in desperate need now that Mark quit smoking. Who knew walls weren't supposed to be brownish yellow hue? Mark finally finished the shelving in the garage, and he started last spring. Our cat Whiskers has claimed the top shelf for his official nap spot, which seems to be the only thing he's consistent about this year. We're cautiously optimistic about next year. However, hopefully fewer doctor's visits, slightly fewer surprises from our bodies, and maybe even a weekend getaway that doesn't involve hospitals or urgent care centers. So, that's warm wishes from Diane, Mark, and Whiskers. These letters, I'm telling you. Now, that was not a 2025 letter, but it was definitely one that I kept aside to look at and share with you. I have to just read this real quick. Oh, okay. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's joining. I didn't want to stop in the middle of a letter to take too in depth of a look at the chat, but I want to thank everyone. Welcome in. Hello to Shy Souls. Hello to Shauna. Hello. Chumba Queen. Good to see you. Sorry to ignore you, Chumba. I didn't mean to do that at all. I just didn't want to stop in the middle of the letter. So I'm going to kind of take a break in the middle or after I read the letters and acknowledge the chat. So please don't think me rude. If you said hello, I certainly appreciate it. And I want to acknowledge everyone who so kindly joined me tonight. Thank you, Chumba. Thank you, Thick Gemini. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I don't often do lives. I used to do them, but I primarily focus on videos, long form and short. So lives are not always my forte. And honestly, it's because I'm not the best at reading the chats, I have to tell you. So I get focused on what I'm doing. So I apologize for that. Thank you. Thank you, Chamba. I appreciate it. So that was the diagnosis dump. And, having all of these medical problems, but embracing vaping, um, all sorts of fried foods, that's a contradiction that we all can love. So, oh, Lord. But they continue. We're not yet done. This one's a little bit shorter. It's called The Vague But Scary One. That's the title that I've given to it. So let's get into this. We have this letter from the Thompsons. I'm not sure who the hell they are, but apparently my parents know. Although some of these I say to them, who is this person? And they're like, I don't remember. Like probably somebody we lived next to years ago, or, someone that I worked with 25 years ago. But they still send the letter, And thank God they do, really, because if they didn't, Opal 96, hello. Please ignore us. I'm sorry. I did not mean to ignore you. I do apologize. I have usually when I used to do lives, I'd have a partner that would help me out with them. Shout out to Life with Ron. And so, he would be the one that would be here reading the chat for me because, that was always his thing to tell me. Read the chat. These people are here. We're literally telling you to. Oh, okay. You're telling me to ignore you? All right. Well, again, I do apologize if you're feeling ignored. Anyone, I don't mean to. The Vague But Scary One goes like this. Dear loved ones, this Christmas feels especially meaningful after everything that happened earlier this year. Spring brought some health scares we didn't see coming, and life slowed down very quickly. We spent a lot of time in waiting rooms, hospitals, and doctors' offices, not knowing exactly what the next week would bring. Sounds ominous. Thankfully, things are stable now, though we continue to monitor several ongoing issues. Some days are easier than others, and we're learning to appreciate the small victories. The kids are doing well in school. Hannah has a commendation for her science project, and Lucas finally joined the soccer team he'd been wanting to try. We were able to take a short trip to Lake Okeechobee in August. I believe that's in Florida, which felt like a big win. We didn't realize at the time that the lake is known for its massive alligator population. Well, it turned out to be a bit more adventurous than we expected. Hannah surprised us with a picnic lunch, which she had packed without telling us she was bringing it along on the boat. It became a harrowing paddle back to shore with several gators in hot pursuit. We all made it, thankfully, but I'm not sure any of us will forget that day anytime soon. Looking forward, we hope for calmer days, fewer surprises, and more time together without interruptions from medical appointments, unexpected news, or wildlife encounters. With love, the Thompsons. Damn. They really know how to paint a picture, I will say, I mean, first of all, I just have to say, if you're going to Lake Okeechobee and you know that that's in Florida, I think a simple Google would tell you it's noted for its alligator infestation, right? Yeah. So the fact that Hannah who evidently is a bright girl. I mean, she got a commendation for a science project. I don't know how old she is, but usually that's not going to be a child, right? But Hannah just never thought to consider that these vicious and hungry gators would really be going after that scrumptious picnic lunch. So, I really get the visual of, like, fried chicken and the gator trying to board the boat. Wow. So, yeah, it does not sound like a relaxing trip, but and Chumba Queen, I think you mentioned to me once, didn't you go to Lake Okeechobee once? I think you, I could have sworn you told me that, or some lake in Florida. Thank you, Chumba. I could have sworn we had that conversation at one point where you said you went and it was absolutely infested. I don't know what the hell you were doing there, and I could be totally making this up right now and like thinking or remembering something that didn't happen, but I hope you weren't swimming anyway. Yeah, let's not talk about that though. Okay. Right. Maybe it was a fishing expedition. I don't know what you were doing, but we'll just move right along. So if you have any questions about Lake Okeechobee, let Chumba know. She might be able to tell you. Fishing a few times. Oh, okay. Yeah, fishing. That was a good, We're moving on here. These letters are continuing to evolve, and we still have some really good content here. And this one also was from years gone by. It was not a 2025, but a holdover that I put in that file just in case I ever wanted to revisit it. And now's the time, and you're visiting it with me. I'm calling this the Medical Humble Brag. And it goes like this. Dear friends, what a year. Between my knee replacement in February and physical therapy 3 times a week, I feel like I've earned my summer. I was officially cleared to walk without assistance, which I did not take for granted, especially after seeing how far some of my friends and family members have struggled with similar procedures. We joke that this year we're hoping Santa brings us all medical alert bracelets. I also made it through a minor bout of shingles in June. Very unpleasant, but manageable. Always the optimistic, evidently. And my blood pressure is finally holding steady after months of adjustments. I feel stronger than I have in years, though I've become very particular about my daily stretches and supplements. Outside of the medical stuff, it's been a year of small triumphs. We finally redid the guest bathroom, which had become an urgent project after the sewage pipe sprang a leak and turned my 1971 bathroom into an unholy mess. It was a 2-month ordeal of water damage, mold, and frantic trips to the hardware store. But the new fixtures, tiling, and shelving make it feel like a spa, or at least as close as our house gets. I also installed the basement shelving I've been promising to get since we moved in just under 5 decades ago. I took up watercolor painting for a short while, though my wrist still isn't perfect. So I'm mostly sticking to experimenting with colors and landscapes on small canvases. We also finally took the long postponed cruise all the way to Scotland. It felt like a luxury reward after months of appointments, PT sessions, doctor's visits, and plumbers. The grandkids came along too, which made the trip even more special and exhausting. Unfortunately, partway through the trip, there was an outbreak of norovirus on the ship. Between trying to avoid it, comforting the kids, and maintaining my own health routines, it became a very memorable lesson in resilience. We made it through and honestly feel proud of how well we managed despite all of the chaos. It's been a year of health challenges, hard earned victories, and grateful moments. I feel proud of what we've accomplished and optimistic about continuing to regain strength in the new year. Wishing you all a peaceful holiday and joy filled Christmas. With gratitude, Susan. Now, Susan had one hell of a year, I have to say. God love her. You know, old girl had shingles. She broke her knee on a patch of ice. She's been through the ringer. Not only that, her outrageously outdated bathroom, the shitter sprung a leak. So, but she finally got to have it all fixed up and, rewarded herself with this lovely cruise to Scotland, which featured a horrific outbreak of the norovirus. So, it was a shitty year all the way around, evidently. My God. But she finally put up the shelving that was in the works for 5 decades. I hope you're enjoying these letters as much as I am because, that's the nice thing. Christmas is over, like I said. You want to take down the Christmas decor, but, now you finally have a couple of minutes. Sit down, you look through the basket of the cards that you got because, you get them and you throw them aside. Oh, that's nice. Oh, the Thompson, whatever. And now you sit down and read them and you can't believe your eyes. Like, am I really reading this right? May Susan forever thrive. Yes. Oh, I want to meet people. Like I feel like inviting these people over for like an after holiday get together, despite the fact that I've never met them and they have no idea who I am because they're like contacts with my parents. So, but they're a very interesting bunch to say the least. And wouldn't that be an interesting party? I mean, with all the medical problems, though, I don't know that I want the liability. I think we'd have to have oxygen tanks, a wheelchair ramp, insulin at the ready, neck brace, hell. These aren't exactly like party people, but they at least know how to tell a story, and that's what I like. So, hey, Lucy. So we have one remaining letter here, and this one is what I'm calling the Everything Hurts letter. Let me just check my my chat here because I don't want to ignore anyone. That's for sure. So, this one's a little more lengthy, but that's okay. I believe this was a 2025. So we had the first one that was from this year and the last one. But it's a goodie. Dear friends and family, Merry Christmas. Honestly, 2025 has felt like a marathon I didn't sign up for. It started with a sprained ankle in January. Thank you, slippery driveway. And somehow escalated from there. I ended up in physical therapy for my ankle, but during a particularly ambitious set of stretches, I pulled a muscle in my back. The back muscle pain was fine for about 5 minutes. Then it wasn't. Cue chiropractor visits, heating pads, and an unending pile of ice packs. She has a way with words. Is this a she or he? I don't even know. This is, I think this is Linda is writing. Linda's the author and the narrator of this letter. So, well, I'm the narrator, but she's the author. Meanwhile, my thyroid decided to be dramatic. So I had a few blood tests, ultrasounds, and adjustments to my medication. I now carry a little pill organizer that looks like it belongs in a pharmacy. And I've memorized my lab results better than I know my neighbors' kids' birthdays. If that wasn't enough, we experienced a small grease fire that quickly intensified when Tom dumped water on it in a feeble attempt to extinguish the flames. Water damage caused extensive damage to my new throw rug and my great grandmother's irreplaceable cookbook, which had been passed down for generations. I spent an entire afternoon drying the rug with a hairdryer, but the handwritten cookbook was a total loss. If anyone happens to have a recipe for Norwegian krumkake, please pass it along. We did try to take a short trip in September to go beaver watching in Arkansas, one of Tom's favorite pastimes, which ended abruptly when our car battery died in the middle of nowhere. Thankfully, a kind stranger helped jumpstart it, but they hooked the cables up wrong, causing yet another fire and extensive electrical damage to our vehicle. We flew home, and I landed with blisters, sunburn, and a mild case of panic. Despite all of this, there have been bright spots. The garden actually survived my attempts at planting tomatoes, and my neighbor finally agreed to teach me how to knit. I now have scarf, though it's slightly lopsided. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. We're hoping next year will involve fewer ER visits, fewer flooded floors, and fewer random injuries that have me in a brace or an ice pack. But at least I've learned how resilient one can be when life decides to throw everything it's got at you at once. Warm wishes, Linda and Tom. Wow, what a hell of a year. My God. From the slip and fall and the icy driveway. I think was there not yet another slip and fall in an icy driveway? So watch out for those driveways. Yeah. The back that was thrown out, the thyroid disease, the grease fire. And she really has passively aggressively called out Tom when he intensified the flames in his feeble attempt to extinguish the flames by throwing water on the grease fires. I'm sure Tom is never going to live that down. And now all of his friends, family, and complete strangers who are reading this or hearing it on the internet will now know. So anybody that has that krumkake recipe, be sure to send it on the way to Linda and Tom. So yeah, those are some letters, are they not? I mean, unbelievable. So we have our let's see here. Oh, well, that's not working, but we have our list of letters for you to vote your favorite in the chat tonight. And in case you've forgotten, we have the Chronic Updater, which is the broken RV, the broken couch, and the neck brace. We have the diagnosis dump, which was the type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, the vaping, and the air fryer obsession. The vague but scary one, which was the let's see, and I can't see it. The health scares and mysterious illness and the road trip. Yes. And then the medical humble brag, knee surgery, and we have the everything hurts letter, which was our final letter. So yeah, drop a number in the chat if you have a favorite, because this was the the 5 that I chose. There were more than this, believe it or not, but these all had a similarity or a unifying feature, which was the medical drama. So very good. Gemini number 3. Yes, the gator. That was memorable, was it not? I mean, they really painted that image. And you can imagine. I have been on one of those airboat rides in the Everglades, and you know, out of like Fort Lauderdale. And you think like, well, this is a just tourist trap, really. They have these signs that the Gator Farm, Stumpy's Gator Farm, or airboat rides, or hold an alligator. And so you pull up thinking that, they must have safety in mind, right? I mean, they have to. Thank you, Chumba. And then we boarded this airboat, and it was really like a giant rowboat with a huge fan on the back, right? And each one of these benches held like 4 or 5 people. And these weren't lightweights, I mean, everyone aboard was, well, hell, we were all pretty much lard asses. So the boat sat rather low in the water. And we get out, to the place, and clearly these gators are expecting us, right? And I don't think they gave us feed, thankfully, but I think like on the piers there was feed that you could give the thing. Anyways, I'm sitting on the edge, and the boat is, 8 inches at most from the water. And anybody that's familiar with alligators know these things can lunge. They can jump. Like, that would be no problem if they at all felt the inclination that they wanted to get in that boat. And I don't think, and we were packed in there like sardines. So where are you going to go, right? You're going to be like wrestling a gator for your life. And the guy's talking and talking. And finally I said, excuse me, can we go? I mean, this gator's nose is like, inches from my body. Like, let's get a move on. And we did, but I don't know that I ever need to go on another one of those gator airboat expeditions. Florida sounds just different. Yes. Oh, Chumba, you went on an airboat ride once. Yeah. Yeah. Down in Homestead, they have an alligator farm we went to. Very cool. It is very cool. And it's cool because it's like the anxiety that like builds within you. Even when you go out on the pier and, you're over all of these gators, and it's usually like a wooden pier, and they might have these like vending machines where you get your little feed and throw it in. But honestly, you just feel like if this thing gives out, we're all going to be eaten alive. So, yeah, Florida is fun, but the Everglades, well, that's a different story. Probably stick with the beaches and, the sand. So, yes, we are a different breed out here. Yes, indeed. So yeah, that was my my holiday letter. Merry, Merry Medical Christmas. So, of course, this is all in good fun, We wish everybody well. We don't want them to be sick. But we did enjoy reading the letters with all of the gruesome details, right? And I think I'll always think of that family that bought the motorhome. Whenever I see one traveling down the road, that's a big thing here on YouTube. A lot of channels that are motorhome, or what do they call them? Like coaches, luxury coaches, and things like that. There's whole communities of the road tripping and all that, but there's also whole entire communities devoted to bitching about the horrible quality that has gone into these motorhome coaches that are being built after 2020. Because when the pandemic hit, everybody and their mom decided what they really needed to do was go out and get a motorhome. even if they've never set foot in one, been in one, ever thought of it before. That's what they should have, is a motorhome, and not usually just any motorhome, but like one that's like, several 100,000 to nearly 1 million. And they buy these things, and they were slapped together because everybody wanted them. Everybody was eager to have it. And they produced these things, and now everyone is like paying the price because they're coming apart at the seams. The toilets, the frames, everything and anything that can go wrong has. And they're like suing these companies, and they've devoted whole entire channels to talking about them and like shaming them into doing the right thing. I don't have a motorhome. I've never been on one, but for some reason I'm like fascinated by this, and I feel like compelled to watch. Like, yeah, don't ever get one of those summer wind whatever motorhomes. Not that I ever would, or have a place to park it, but there's every niche here on YouTube. So absolutely something for everyone. But I guess Christmas is over. I'm going to be having to finally take down this stuff and pack it all up. That's not fun, It's not fun putting it up either, really, is it? I mean, I usually dread doing it, but this year I said, you know what? I'm going to do it early so I can have plenty of time to enjoy it, because I was usually putting it off until the last minute and then having like 1 week or 2 weeks at the most to enjoy it. And then it was like, oh, the new year is here. It's time to take it all down. Well, I put it up right after Thanksgiving this year, and now we're following week of January. So enough is enough, I suppose. I did have a friend that kept her Christmas tree up all year long. Not because she liked Christmas so much, but because she was too damn lazy to do anything about it. And I came over in, August or something. I was like, oh, you have your Christmas tree up already? And she's like, no, I just never took it down. I'm like, really? Maybe that's why it's covered with dust. She actually ended up just throwing the whole damn thing in the trash can in the dumpster because she didn't want to have to go through the cleaning of it after the fact. So, I guess that's one way to do it. I have seen people, here we have in Chicago, they say you can throw away your live Christmas tree for, a couple of weeks after you just put it on the curb and they'll take it. I've seen people throw the whole damn thing out, like ornaments, lights, tinsel, the star, everything is just thrown on the curb. So this year in like this newsletter in our community, they finally had to specify, please take the ornaments off your tree when you put it out for trash pickup. Yeah, what a shame. I mean, and obviously these people are not on a budget or particularly worried about it, I suppose, because, no one even went around to like stripped off all the ornaments or the lights, because I guarantee you all that stuff was perfectly good. Hey, Mr. K, good to see you, buddy. Yes, you are late, but that's okay. There's always the replay. So we talked about Merry Medical Christmas. We read 5 outrageous letters of medical dramas that were unbelievable and very funny. Not that, tragic medical conditions are funny, but the way that these were written were very good. So all of these Christmas cards that we've all gotten, these letters that we've received, and we're updated with more information than we ever wanted to know. Thank you, Chevy. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I didn't see you here. Thank you. And I want to thank you for the super chat. And I saw that I have some new memberships that were gifted as well. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much, Life with Ron. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that so very much. I always love sharing stories. Storytelling is probably one of my passions. And so thank you for the kind comment and the super chats. That really was not expected, but highly appreciate it. And thank you all for joining me here tonight. I don't want to keep you all. That's pretty much what I came to do, which was to share the joy of a Merry Medical Christmas. But thank you all again to my new friends, my new subscribers, all of those that have been gifted a membership or have just subscribed. I appreciate you all so very much. So we'll have to do this again. I think we need to make this a yearly thing at Christmas because I have a whole file, not just medical. These were all interconnected through their medical highlights, but there's many others that, I particularly like the one that I had read one year where, they were updating us all on the family members that had passed away during the course of the year, but it was all to be sung to the tune of Frosty the Snowman, which, wow, to be reduced to a childhood song when you pass away, and that's how your friends and family are notified. Yeah, if you've ever considered doing that, I urge you maybe to reconsider. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and thank you again for the super chats from Life with Ron and Chevy and gift memberships. I appreciate you all for being here. We'll do this again in some other way. I'll have to go live more often and come up with some other ideas. So thank you all so very much. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's not too late. If you have, welcome to the family. I love you for watching. Merry Medical Christmas, everybody. Stay healthy this year.